and I request the audience to kindly keep themselves on mute.
How can I change to the backdrop you have sent via email?
Sure.
How can I do that?
My colleague would guide you. Kamakshi, please guide Mr. Schneider.
Sir, could you just please repeat yourself?
He wants to use the virtual backdrop.
Virtual backdrop, sir. You need to go into this setting, meeting setting.
Okay.
Over there, you will see this option, for putting in the backdrop. Like it depends, even if this depends on the, addition of Cisco WebEx that you are using in your country actually. So there is an option basically that comes and that says that you can change your backdrop, change virtual background that I can see in my audio and video settings here.
Yeah, maybe I cannot do that because I am not using the app. I'm via the browser.
Okay.
So
The
only option is to switch between dark and bright. So maybe it's not possible.
I think let it be, Mr. Schneider. Virtual backdrop is not mandatory, so we will stick to your original one.
Okay.
A very warm welcome to all the participants. Welcome to the session. We will be beginning the proceedings of the session in a short while. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Pallavi.
Good afternoon. So, sir, we will begin the session in a short while. Meanwhile, our panelists, some of our panelists have already joined. Mr. Schneider has joined us from Vdma. Mr.
Right.
Elvin from Thailand has also joined us, and Mr. Eri Mayer, CEO of Kiami Solutions, Israel.
Okay. And Mr. Neba?
Right. Mr. Agmon has also joined us. Welcome to the meeting, Mr. Agmon.
Yeah.
Right. So let me introduce Mr. Ravi Sehgal. He is the moderator of the session today, and he is also the immediate past chairman of Mckinsey.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Maybe it's morning in Germany.
No, it's the middle of the day.
Yeah. Okay. We'll just wait, I think, about 3-4 minutes.
Yes, sir. We still have a few minutes to go.
Right.
So how were the other sessions, Pallavi?
Sir, sessions went off well. Yeah. We had a good participation from the Msme units, and we are expecting a good participation here as well. And the inaugural also went off very well. We are expecting
I
a
was
press
there.
coverage.
I was there at the inaugural.
Right, sir. Sir, I have just received a message from Mr. Nebat. He will be joining shortly.
Okay.
But I think we can now begin the session since all the panelists have already joined us. So I will just make the beginning and give a small remark. After that, I would hand it over to you.
Sure.
So once again, a very warm welcome to the eminent panelists, Mr. Ravi Sehgal, Limited Past Chairman, EPC India, and the participants who have taken out their valuable time to join us for the session on smart, flexible, and intelligent supply chain, international initiatives and lessons for India. We have our speakers from Germany, from Thailand, from Tanzania, and from Israel who have joined us at the session today. The session will be moderated by Mr. Ravi Sehgal. He is the immediate past chairman of India. And I would request Mr. Sehgal to take on from here.
Thank you, Pallavi.
Thank you.
And good afternoon, everyone. It's really wonderful to have you. And it's the last and most important session of today's program, Smart, Flexible, and Intelligent Supply Chain, International Initiatives and Lessons for India. And we are indeed pleased to have a galaxy of speakers from overseas. And I'd like to thank all of you for having taken time to be with us, and also to the participants, who have been attending, I think, several since the fourth and the so a warm welcome to all of you. And as the name suggests, smart and flexible are the two keywords, I would say, the most important milestone today's manufacturing operations. The three sessions covered earlier were on SME supply chain competitiveness, leveraging digital tech for engineering SMEs, and success stories. And I'm sure that this session will enlighten us and all the MSMEs who are participating into the international, what we can learn from your experience. Smart and flexible sector integration of suppliers of any size, large, medium, and small units, not just domestically, but also ensure a healthy trade between the countries. EPC takes privilege to welcome the eminent speakers from Germany, Israel, Tanzania, and EPC, as you know, my friends, has been at the forefront in engaging the business communities of these countries regularly. India has significant exports to these countries, and we are going to have a flagship program, INDI, the exhibition in Tanzania from 22nd to 24th September of this year. I'm pleased to welcome Mr. Florian Schneider. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
The Center Economic Principles, Vdma Germany. And we and APC are very familiar with Vdma. We have worked closely on several seminars and programs earlier. The Mechanical Engineering Industry Association Germany, Vdma, represents more than 3,400 German and European companies of the mechanical engineering industry, promoting innovation, export orientation, and medium-sized businesses. So shortly, we'll be hearing from Mr. Florian. Welcome, sir. Mr. Alvin Anton Carlo Ong, Head of International E-Commerce and Supply Chain, Emerging Business, SCG International Corporation Company Limited, is representing the Thai Chamber of Commerce at session today, and we welcome you at our meeting and look forward to hearing your views, your experience. Mr. Nabat Mapale is expected soon. He's Executive Director, Tanzania Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture. This is a private sector association that was established in 1988. And this has the support of Tanzanian government to strengthen the private sector. It works closely with different international organizations for all of its activities to strengthen the private sector in the country. And I'm sure the interaction with him would be very revealing on how the industry and the government are working together through this association. Mr. Agmon David Porat, Head of Industry 4.0 Innovation Lab, LET Lab, Israel. Welcome, sir. Welcome to our seminar. And he has over 18 years of experience at global high-tech companies. He's founded Israel's Industry 4.0 Top Innovation Lab and Incubator. And that's a good experience, which we would like to hear more from him on this. Mr. Ari Meor, CEO of Kayami Solutions, Israel, is also with us. Thank you, sir, for being with us. Kayami is a leading provider of highly effective industrial shooting and maintenance management software solutions. I think this is something which is the need of the day, and we will be certainly enriched by your presentation, Mr. Mayor. Now, the session is going to be like, I'm going to be asking one question to each of these panelists. And if we have time at the end, we may have, certain addition questions or points, but if that is only if the time permits. Otherwise, we would like the speakers to cover in their 5 to 7 minutes presentation all that they have to say. And if there's anything to be asked, I will ask you at the end. So to begin with, Mr. Florian Schneider, the question goes to you. What, in your opinion, is the current and future? Please throw some light. And we would like to know how Vdma is playing the leading role in facilitating the SMEs in this supply chain. Over to you, Mr. Schneider.
Yes, thank you very much for the invitation. Let me share my presentation. Are you able to see the slides?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So let me give you a quick overview of the picture in Germany and Europe on raw materials and preliminary product shortages in the supply chain, which we currently observe. So what is the supply situation in mechanical and plant engineering with a focus on Germany and Europe, and what are the causes of the bottlenecks we currently observe? This slide shows that an increase in the shortage of material is a usual phenomenon during upswings. So the orange areas denote recessions, and usually after a recession, when the upswing starts, also the material shortage increase. However, as you can see at the current edge in year 2021 and also this year, this phenomenon is much more pronounced than ever before. Maybe you remember the debate about how the economy will recover after the COVID-19 pandemic hit the global economy in March 2020. There was the discussion, will it be a V shape or will it be a U or L shape of recovery? And when you look at the production index on this picture, you can clearly see that it was a V shape, and it was a very quick upswing after the pandemic hit the economy. And that's also a reason why we have this extreme material shortage now, because many companies did not expect that the recovery goes so fast and adjusted or reduced and postponed their orders for input material. And now, as the economy has recovered, all are ordering at the same time, and the supply is not able to meet the demand. Since the start of the pandemic, the Vdma has continuously asked its member companies for disruptions in the supply chains. And here you can nicely also see the phases of the development. Orange means that there are medium or high disruptions in the supply chain. And at the start, in April 2020, you can see there were a lot of disruptions in the supply chain due to the lockdowns. But then we had a very fast easing of the disruptions already in year 2020. The economy recovered, and we observed the popular bullwhip effect, which is a typical issue after a slump in supply chains. And since the second half of 2021, we see a clear increase in shortage due to the very high demand for input materials. There was the easing of the disruptions looming in the beginning of year 2022, but now the war in the Ukraine and also new lockdowns in China created new problems. So since September 2021, you see a very large number of companies which report high or medium disruptions in their supply chains. This slide shows that the mechanical engineering industry in Europe and Germany is affected across the board. So all areas of mechanical engineering are affected, and currently the biggest disruptions are observed in the area of process plants and equipment, where almost all companies report supply chain disruptions. Let's have a closer look at the supply bottlenecks. As you can see on this slide, electrical engineering and electronic components, so in particular semiconductors, are the biggest problem. So 87% of our companies have difficulties with electrical components, but also metals and metal products are a big deal. The situation slightly improved in March 2022, but then compared to the end of 2021, but since then got worse again, as I already mentioned, due to the war in the Ukraine and new lockdowns in China. So to go to an outlook, when do the companies expect the situation to ease? What consequences do they draw from the experiences they have made? Here you can see that the majority of companies, especially in the electronic components inputs, do not expect a very quick easing of the situation. Looking at electronic components, more than 40% of the companies expect that the supply shortage will not ease before the second half of year 2023. So one more year to go, and we will still see a lot of disruptions in the supply chain for electronic components. And only a small minority expects an easing within the current year. Also for metal products, we see that roughly 70% of the respondents say that they expect an easier of supply shortage, not before the next year. What are the measures which the companies consider or already have done to realign supply chains as a result of the experience gained through bottlenecks? Here you can see on the left side that 77% of the companies plan measures to realign their supply chains, and the most important measures which are considered among them is a broader supplier network and the admission of new suppliers, but also a change in procurement principles and increased stock holding, but also other geographical distribution of suppliers. And especially the diversification of suppliers and other geographical distribution of suppliers also offers business opportunities for Indian companies. This slide focuses on the change in sourcing strategies for critical raw materials, so a clear focus on raw materials on this slide. Here you can see that 1/3 of the companies has already changed the sourcing strategy for raw materials, and further 22% are planning measures in that realm. On the right-hand side, you again see which measures are taken. When it comes to raw materials, the diversification of suppliers is also the most important measure, closely followed by increased inventories, and also a focus on supply security and substituting materials are also important aspects. This slide refers to the Mckinsey survey of global supply chain leaders. They already asked supply chain leaders in May 2020 and then again in May 2021. And in 2020, shortly after the corona pandemic started, 93% of the respondents intended to make their supply chains more flexible, agile, and resilient. And a lot of companies planned to do some nearshoring of suppliers to boost their supply chain resilience. But then when they were asked again in May 2021, mainly inventories were increased and the diversification of supply chains, except for raw materials or regionalizing or rather nearshoring activities, clearly lagged behind the plans which were stated in May 2020. However, still 90% strive for regionalizing the supply chain within the next 3 years. Moreover, we see that an increased investment in digital supply chain technologies for advanced analytics are undertaken. And as you can see, that the plans of nearshoring and diversifying the suppliers lag behind. That was what was announced in 2020, illustrates that it seems there are difficulties in finding suitable suppliers in the near surroundings. So not everything can and will be produced locally, and there are also opportunities for Indian companies to enter European supply chains. And we also should prepare for a more regionalized supply chains in the future within the coming years. What does the Vdma offer for Indian companies to enter into the European manufacturing supply chain? If you intend to cooperate with a German engineering enterprise, we offer the license and cooperation service, LICO. It's an online marketplace that bridges the gap between national and foreign enterprises looking for cooperation, e.g., for instance, via joint venture, patents and licenses, research and development, manufacturing agreements, supplying, subcontracting, or in the area of commercial and sales. And this service is free of charge. All you have to do is to fill in the LICO questionnaire, which is available on our homepage. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Schneider. I think that was a very compact and precise presentation. And glad to see that Vdma is helping out, overseas companies to come and align in the supply chain. A very quick question. I mean, how has the Russian-Ukraine war affected your supply chains, and what measures are you taking for, overcoming that?
Yeah, Russia is not the most important export market for the mechanical engineering industry, but it is an important market. It is the 9th place when it comes to exports for the mechanical engineering sector in Germany. And of course, it hit the supply chains. For instance, the automotive sector was hit by a shortage for some electric components which come from the Ukraine. And also the sanctions affect the supply chains because of sanctions which are put on Russia. And we saw that especially in the field of metals, there was a big disruption in the supply chain. So palladium, for instance, is an important metal, or nickel, which stems from Russia. And another topic, of course, is the import of gas and energy, which is also very important for the whole industry in Germany and Europe.
So I think, yeah, these are a little challenging times, but I'm sure association like yours would be helping out all the, the smaller players and the overseas players to continue and align themselves with the German companies. So thank you very much for your presentation. And we move over to the next speaker, who is Mr. Carlos. And as I had informed you that he is from Thailand, and he'll throw some light on the evolving macroeconomic conditions on India-Thailand supply chains for SMEs and the role of e-commerce for engineering SMEs for successful supply chain integration. So over to you, Mr. Carlos.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me share my screen. Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so thank you, everyone. It's nice to be here. Thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to speak with everyone. So what I'd like to be able to share today is the experience of SEG in terms of serving the SMEs, in particular the Thai SMEs, right? So what I'd like to share here is some pain points that evolved during the pandemic. So when everything shut down back in 2020, the sellers, the brands and the manufacturers, both in Thailand and across the region, had some certain difficulties or pain points, right? So one, their traditional sales dropped dramatically, simply because the traditional business of going to a customer was very difficult, if not impossible. For them to go online, it was difficult. They weren't built to be able to manage everything online, both in terms of manpower, systems, technology, as well as managing that conflicts when it comes to the different channels that they'd like to be able to sell their products. Some of the dealers or distributors in the country also had some challenges. Most of the 3PLs aren't built, especially here in Southeast Asia. Some of the logistics providers are built for traditional businesses, and their systems aren't built for tech-enabled 3PLs. And because of the pandemic, they're looking to be able to grow, to be able to access new customers, and get new business, right? So, these are the key challenges of brands as well as manufacturers and distributors in Thailand. And they'd like to be able to access the SME sector, right? So across a number of different verticals, such as fleets, logistics fleets, and even farming or agriculture, automotive fixing, wholesalers such as resellers and different contractors. They had a key challenge, right? So a lot of the e-commerce marketplaces in Southeast Asia are really built for the consumer, like you and I, but they're not really built to be able to serve the small and medium enterprises in Thailand, right? So they need to be able to access a wide range of products to be able to compare and really understand the different characteristics of the products. They want to make sure that they want to be assured that it's authentic and avoid anything that's fake. They need to be able to pay on cash to be able to ensure that they can inspect the products before making that payment. They need fast delivery, and because of limited capital, they don't want to hold very high inventory. So because of this, actually, SCG International built a platform called Big Thailand. It's a B2B marketplace that's built out as an ecosystem to be able to support and drive the growth for SMEs, right? So it's a multi-sided marketplace. So on one side, you have the brand principals and the distributors, and the different SMEs on the other side, right? So it's either they're reselling these products, such as a reseller or a small shop, or for use in terms of their operations. So these could be your logistics fleet, small manufacturers and contractors, right? And to be able to make all of these things happen, we need a range of services to be able to make things very seamless. So aside from being able to pay across various options, various channels, we need to be able to offer them a payment solution and even credit, right? In the offline, they have that access to credit, and they need to be able to do that in the e-commerce world to be able to replicate and make it seamless. We have this thing called a big agent model. It's basically to be able to bring offline SMEs to online. So basically, it's a freelance network that helps the platform acquire customers, influence them, provide product knowledge or product information to these SMEs so that they could assess the buying. And we have a robust logistics network connected to the major 3PLs in Thailand that can do anything from a small parcel delivery to bulk delivery and offering cash on delivery. So we're serving a wide range of SMEs. There are over 3 million SMEs in Thailand, and we already have over 30,000 users in the platform, right? So this platform was launched right in the height of the pandemic. It was in May 2020. So the traction that we have here is really built on the impact of the pandemic, as well as supply chain disruptions and today rising costs, right? So we're serving a wide range of SMEs. So these are our customers, or these are our end users. and compared to your traditional B2C marketplaces, the basket size are dramatically higher, right? In your B2C, you're talking about $30-$40. And in our case, it's all 20,000 baht. So this is roughly $600-700 per basket. And normally the behaviors that they'd make a small purchase and then they would grow the purchase that they would make. And then we become a bigger part of their day-to-day operation. And we do this by working with a wide range of brands and sellers. There are over 500 brands and sellers already on the platform in less than 2 years. And these are ranging from, let's say, oil and fluid. So these are like Valvoline and different lubricant brands, as well as the tires, so which are making right now the bulk of the categories we're selling. There are over 100,000 SKUs in the platform, anything from spare parts and all of these things, right? And we're involved in at least 13 categories and dramatically growing this year and over the next few years. And it'll be driven by moving into a number of different categories, such as products related to agriculture, animal feed, appliances, and even e-services. So I think what's critical for SMEs is they need to be able to access products also from the source, right? So currently we're built as a local marketplace, but we're looking to be able to build out the platform to allow and serve these SMEs to be able to access products that from where they're built, right? So it needs to be very agile, as there are supply chain disruptions. They need to be able to source it from multiple locations, right? So and they need to be able to get these at the lowest possible cost to be able to remain dramatically competitive in their in Thailand. And lastly, they need to be very simple and easy to use. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carlos. This was a good presentation, which explained, very clearly on the way that you operate the system. Just a quick question is, how is, the logistics affecting Thailand, because world over, with the shortages of containers, shortages of trucks and drivers and everywhere, how is Thailand affected?
I think it's Thailand is similar to the rest of the world. A lot of different products are in short supply. So a big chunk of the marketplace is actually truck tires. So earlier this year, there was a shortage of truck tires. Certain brands or certain SKUs weren't available in the platform, and this can be a challenge because some of your SMEs would prefer a certain thread type or a certain brand, and would make it a difficult choice to be able to cross-sell them other products. And although in the recent months things have gotten a little bit better, we're hoping that this continues and the supply chain disruptions would slowly loosen up.
Yeah, we hope so too, because that is one of the biggest concerns for most of the MSMEs, So thank you very much for your presentation, sir. It was an eye-opener for all of us. Now I move on to Mr. Agmon David, and as I had said, that he is from Israel and one of the best, Industry 4.0 top innovation lab with incubator, which they have set up through their company. And my question to Mr. Agmon is, what is the role of modern manufacturing to develop the competence and strength of MSME sector, particularly since concepts like automation and Industry 4.0 are still at very nascent stage in India? And how do the concepts like artificial intelligence, Industry 4.0, and automation play a vital role to develop the supply chain of competitiveness, especially for the Indian MSMEs? So over to you, Mr. David. Is Mr. David there on the screen? Mr. Agman is there.
Sir, I think there's some network issue because his bandwidth is showing low.
Oh, okay.
Right. Sir, Mr. Nebat has also joined us. Maybe we can move to Mr. Nebat and then come back to Mr. Agman.
All
I
right.
will try to
Sure,
contact him
sure.
on phone.
Yeah, and let me know. Okay, so yes, Mr. Nebat, welcome. We missed you in the beginning, but I think you had some connectivity issues. We were just discussing on the different, smart, flexible, and intelligent methods for, improving the supply chains and especially the international initiatives, and how MSMEs in India can learn from your experiences. So I'd like to ask you, what is the role of MSMEs in building the manufacturing, sector in Tanzania? Please throw some light on the emerging sectors and opportunities of building supply chain linkages between Tanzania and India, especially for the MSMEs. Over to Mr. Nabat.
Yeah, thank you very much, and sorry for joining in late. I hope you can hear me.
We can hear you, but there is light behind you, so we can't really see you. If you can have some light in front of you, probably we could be able to see you.
Okay, let me change my position. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, that's better. We can now see you.
Here is much better.
Perfect.
Yes, yeah, I was saying thank you very much for this opportunity. We at the Tanzania Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture, as you say, we represent MSMEs in those key areas, that is the industry, which includes manufacturing and the all extractive waste. Also, we present those who are in the trading, import and exports. Also, we present those who are in agriculture, from all value chains of agriculture. And yes, the lessons that you can learn from here, our country has huge potential, as you said, in agro production and agriculture production. We are leveraged in producing all different types of crops. And as you, I think you have seen from the trade statistics that most of the products that come from Tanzania to India mostly are grown, produced by MSMEs. That because in our country, the largest population or the largest sector category of businesses belong to the MSMEs. It comprises of about 90%. These are small, micro, small, and medium enterprises, and they are mostly products which are traded between Tanzania and India. These are cereal crops, and which include pulses, different types, pigeon peas. Also, we have sesame, but also we have cashew nuts. A lot of cashew nuts come from Tanzania to India. Now there is an emerging sector or area in the production and the export of horticultural products, mainly avocado fruits, especially avocado. So you see that now our country is investing much in the avocado production, but the sector is still growing. It's still limited. It's facing a number of challenges. That's supply capacity in terms of meeting the required maybe standards, or even meeting the required the required demand or quantity. That is constrained by a number of challenges. That is low level of technology investments. As you may see that agriculture requires
I think the line is a little disturbed. Mr. Nabat, can you hear us?
So I think there's some network issue at his end.
Yeah, he's there, but I don't think he has the connection so strong enough. So we will move forward, I guess, and once he joins, we'll have him again later in the later part. All right.
Right.
So, friends, moving over to Israel once again. It's one of the top markets, as we know, for innovation, R&D, and technology. And India is looking forward to foster technological alliances with Israel. And the first of the speakers from Israel is Mr. Agmon David. He was not able to connect earlier, but I'm glad he has. So over to you, Mr. David.
So thank you. I hope you can see my screen and you can hear me.
Yes.
I had a problem. No, I cannot connect the camera, but let's forget this. A minute ago, I was just about to click share. Suddenly the electricity fell and the internet fell, which just shows us we're planning and doing and connectivity. No problem. You're kicked out. So I'm going to run this very fast. I want to talk to you a little bit about the Industry 4.0 and innovation route that we did in UCT, and show you some live examples and videos, and even leave time for questions if they are. So let me run fast. I have to say, who's UCT? UCT is a global traded company. We are a large, I think, fastest growing OEM, building gas boxes like these for the semiconductor industry, everything from the metal valve to conducting cleaning and treating data. Our facilities, this one in Israel, we have hundreds of CNC machines for the metal processing. We have other machines as well. Moving to Industry 4.0, all the new machines come already with integrated robotics, with data that is able to come out of the systems, new systems that are being put under robotics and so on and under machines. It means that manufacturers need to change their machines as well. Doesn't matter if you're making a spring or you're making glasses or a computer. Washing systems become smarter and become connected. For us, we have a lot of clean rooms and ultra clean rooms because a lot of those items go into the semiconductor industry, and later we build a gas box with it. We are utilizing Industry 4.0 activity for a long time, from automated warehousing to Cartex, and there's a variety of items that companies today can buy off the shelf to integrate it. For us, part of the journey was moving and taking, we were a valve company. Before we were UCT, we were Hamlet, it was acquired by UCT. And in Hamlet, we said, okay, this is an industrial valve. Let's make this valve a smart connected valve. And we, in a short matter of time, because this is the whole point of Industry 4.0, you can take off the shelves components and suddenly make a valve, sense the environment, sense the media inside, understand when it's going to die and predict when it needs to be replaced. It won a variety of awards. And the way to do it is it's very easy, something that everybody can do. We did it with zero budget, obviously, only with open innovation. First connecting a node, working with collaboration together with Samsung, Siemens, and others that had an interest of showing it in exhibitions and finding use cases. In Hanover, we also showed it in Siemens and Amazon and different use cases of a smart IoT valve. This opened us as a company who never, the salespeople had no idea how to go and sell a valve because that is connected, because nobody talked about, communications, networking, and the cloud, and so on. But this is what it means, the Industry 4.0. Suddenly somebody is designing a system and having a smart valve would kill it. And you don't need to be also the cloud and also the gateway and also everything. We figured out that open innovation and partnerships are imperative, especially now. And we saw some examples from the nice presentations before, how the COVID shifts people into collaborating and having online systems. I don't know if you can see all the slides. But this is the time now to basically inject new innovation into the lab. Sometimes those failures, we stuck the finger in the wrong place. This is why we are building an innovation hub that we can deal with startups. Here in Israel, we work with startups, and some of them, the whole point is to accelerate the innovation inside the company with new tools. But sometimes it can blow up in the face, and the whole point is a traditional manufacturer is that you want to work normally without blowing up anything in the face. So we set up an open innovation lab called LetLab, where we are the bridge between startups and corporates, providing funding, workplace, access to the advanced manufacturing field, basically trying to solve our problems or some of our partners' problems using some of the latest innovations that are out there, from robotics, innovation, imaging, and so on. As an innovation unit, we always map the industry. And in the past, we also map relationship, and I know that India is very, very rich in terms of innovation and entrepreneurship. And we just heard about the 3 million SMEs. Most of them are S, but there's a lot of innovation in Singapore, and a lot of people are in India, and there's a lot of people who are driving innovation that you just need to open your factory, give them a test bench and a small unit, and it would generate huge value for you and for them. So we go ahead and we map the industry, and we are working with universities, for example, taking students, and this is completely free, right? So the students is working with the robot to find and tackle some units that we have. This is an open innovation because we are opening our company to ideas from other younger students in mechanical engineering and robotics. They get experience, we get solutions. Here's an example how we showcase manual labor with a robot. By the way, robots, and there are some robots in India that are very cheap. It's not what it used to be in the past. 5 years ago, a robotic unit would be 100K, and it would take 8 months to do. This robotic system did it. It's an intern that did it. So it's somebody who had no skills, learned the robot and did it. And those robots return themselves in 1 year, in a sense. They are not that expensive. It's $20,000, and robots prices are getting down. You can buy arms in $5,000. When we introduced that was too fast for the company. Robots were still not widely used. They said, no, we like to buy it in the box, more expensive, and we bought that one and not going on the unit. Later, we showed use cases of machine tending. Any factory here that is doing machine tending and have people to take parts in and out should look at robotics and cobots and find the nearest integrator near him. Or if you're an integrator, run, and imagine you have a lot of work now, because this is becoming standard. Machine tending, putting the items into the machine. This is the dull part, and sometimes even dangerous part of the job. If before we had 1 person on 4 machines, we can reduce it significantly, and the worker is obviously happy because now he's managing, more machines, more robots, and not doing the dull job of taking and putting the machine out in and out. As a test bench, we're also piloting with the AGVs and robots in the factories, and these mobile robots are going to grow. So those factories who are not implementing it and still saying, no, it's going to be cheaper for me to move materials by a person, and I have 2 persons that are always going to mop the floor and always going to move parts and so on. It's going to change because others and competitors are going to implement a mobile robot and so on, which is becoming less and less. Now it's still only in labs. Not many real companies are using them without guiding systems and so on. There's obviously washing systems, different AGVs for different units. Us as an innovation lab, we open our factory for the test bench for them to evaluate what can really generate us an ROI, what taps into our core business, what taps into our peripheral, and is good to have, but good to know. This is an example how a robot is being used at the beginning to replace a manual task of putting the items inside the box itself. Obviously, when the works were, were hesitant about this, they thought it would replace them. Very fast, they realized that this is actually saving them time and makes their job a bit more
I think the screen is frozen now. Mr. Agman, are you there?
Sir,
I
I
think we
think,
have
yeah,
connectivity issues.
right.
He had a few more slides, actually. But I think he's still trying to come.
Can you hear me?
Mr. Agman, yeah, your
Yes.
presentation went out, though.
Again. And you don't see my screen.
Yeah, but we can
Yes,
hear you
me.
now.
The internet is busy. Oh,
Okay.
yes. I'm sorry about
So
this.
without the presentation, you can make your concluding remarks, whatever.
Yes, I will try to share again. I don't know if I have enough
Okay.
time. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Great. So I'm not sure when I was cut out, but I mentioned that it's easy to put new tools and new systems that before you didn't do. Some robotic items and systems like this that use AI to do manual inspections are becoming more and more trivial in the sense that they are much more cheap than what people think. There are integrated solutions today with companies like vision companies. But the uses of AI to improve quality in one sense, and we see another examples and others, is increasing and companies should use it. This is 3D metal printing. So 3D is actually India knows a lot about 3D printing. Let me move forward. I want to show another example about using AI in production. So this is a process manufacturing. So this is, they're making a paper in this company. And a company called QC, what they're doing, they're taking all the data from the machines. And the machine here, it's a humongous machine that is producing paper. It's traditional manufacturing, but it has pumps and valves and pressures, more than 1,600 parameters. And in the end, you have a paper, a roll of paper. And they measure the quality in the end. Right now, what you can do with AI is, you sit in the control room, and instead of just doing statistical process control, what they're doing with QC, they're predicting what's going to be the quality based on all the parameters and the data in advance. So a paper takes a full day to manufacture, but you can know way in advance, hey, wait a minute, because of all the parameters, I can predict that the quality in the end would be low. We should increase the temperature and reduce the pressure, and it would remove back the prediction to better production. And then have active AI basically that is controlling a process manufacturing. So a company that is doing process manufacturing, or a company who has the data, can use it to predict what's going to be at the end. This is the same for predictive maintenance as a machine, but this is different. This is predictive quality. Here we're seeing that the machine had some kind of notification here. Over here, there was a prediction that there's going to be a break. And over here, the machine broke and the quality was reduced. For discrete manufacturing, for example, in CNC, we took data from the machines and we took data from the quality control, and we're predicting what would the quality control say about the item while we're manufacturing, so we don't need to wait. So closing remarks is there are vast opportunities. I don't even, most of the companies not sure where to begin. And the best way is to allow the different units internally to generate entrepreneurship where it best fits, generates the highest ROI. If it's in the quality, maybe it's in the process, maybe it's in the connecting to the customer. Innovation is across the wheel. It's on the configuration. It's how you configure your assets in your company and how you manufacture and what connections do you have. It's also the product, but it's definitely not just the product. And then it's the experience that the customer has with your product. from the minute he saw you all the way to the minute you provide him services and after sale. And today, with the amount of innovation that you have, you can drive innovation in a variety of location on this wheel at the same time. That's it. Thank you. I'm open for conversation or questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Agmon. I think the whole depiction through the video and the presentation made this very clear that you can, in your existing system and existing units, just modify by connecting these sensors to get data and information at one place and monitor all your productions. In fact, we had visited the BMW factory and we were seeing the cars being manufactured, you know, and most of the welding being done by the robots, and you know, even the inspection being done on the spot and not a human being around. You know, it was all through the computers and the information sent to the control room. I think that is.
It used to be only car companies, right? Car companies and
correct. Not anymore.
A valve company. It's a plastic company. It's any company that has a person that is doing a manual pick and place part that wants to be more competitive. They should put it, and they have the chance to put those automation. Now they're doing it as well.
Correct. And I'm sure, you know, I mean, the Indian companies can make use of, you know, the experience and the knowledge that you have. And probably there could be a method by which the Industry 4.0 in India, although it does exist to some extent, but most of the MSMEs is too expensive or too difficult to do in the existing system. Like with your experience and help, a lot of MSMEs in India can gain, you know, advantage and get into the automation mode. Thank you so much. Finally, we move on to Mr. Ari Mayor. I think he's been waiting very patiently. Thank you very much, sir. And the question to you is, how can MSME units improve manufacturing efficiency and quality by smart solutions? You can also give certain instances where smart manufacturing techniques have helped improve the productivity in MSME. So over to you.
Thank you, Ravi. Nice to see you here. Just a moment, I will share my screen.
Sure.
Do you see the presentation?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So my name is Aryeh Maor. I am the CEO of Kiami, and I will talk about how MSMEs companies can improve manufacturing efficiency and quality with smart solutions. Now, there are different ways that you can do in order to improve manufacturing efficiency and quality. You can purchase new machinery, you can implement robotics and automation, 3D printing, and you know, a lot of different type of projects that all of them can improve manufacturing efficiency and quality. But those projects are costly, are intensive, usually takes time. I will talk about a low budget, fast implementation projects that can improve manufacturing efficiency and quality. And we are talking basically, or our focus is on the human factor, on the technician that is troubleshooting and fixing a failure in equipment, on the process engineer that need to find the root cause of a specific problem failure, an operator that tackles some kind of issue or has a setup to do or another manufacturing procedure and the such. That's what we are dealing. No matter how much AI you implemented, how much robotics optical inspections, etc. Still, the human factor is very important here. I will share with you a few use cases of our customers that implemented such solutions. The first one is DIRT. DIRT is a large manufacturer in Canada and USA, which manufacture walls for buildings. They mention several pain points that they suffer. The first one is inefficient troubleshooting by maintenance teams. What it means, they have a wide variety of complex machinery. What takes one technician 1 hour to fix, and to another one, it takes one shift or in 1 day even. In some cases, the problem is so complex that only an expert can fix. It takes years to become an expert, and if the expert leaves the company, it's a pain. Another issue they raised is how to manage the technical information or documentation. For example, the maintenance manual, the spare parts, the electrical schema, and all the tech knowledge that they have in the factory for all the system, for the manufacturing equipment, for the infrastructure systems, and the such. Another pain point, they say that they are missing financial and maintenance and operation KPIs. For example, how much time they have downtime per each equipment, per each process, per each department. What are the failures, and so on, and so on. And the last pain points, how to visualize the spare parts across the company. It means that if a specific spare parts is missing in one plant, to look for it in other plants. Maybe it's less expensive than to purchase it. So we implemented that smart troubleshooting, knowledge management, maintenance management, and dashboard to produce all the KPIs. This is an example of the system. The user see a layout of the plant of the factory with all the machinery on top. So when they have a problem on a specific machinery, they click on the machinery, they use tablet, they select the failure, and the system provide diagnostic and repair recommendations. All the accumulated knowledge from all the technicians of the company is there, lies there. And this information is optimized by a specific algorithm that we use, an expert decision tree. And as a result, the repair time and the downtime was reduced by about half, about 50%. But it's not only that. As a result, the first time fix is higher. It means they have less occurrences when the failure was not solved properly, and they still need to find the root cause and fix it. In some cases, it can take several iterations. So with the troubleshooting solution, in most of the cases, it is a first-time fix while reducing dramatically the downtime, also reducing spare parts annual cost, material waste, and for sure improving quality. Now the information is with the images, photos, videos, and all the relevant information. You can see here in the dashboard, now they have a wide view of the manufacturing and the maintenance. What are the top 10 failures for each machine? What are the top 10 equipment that have problem? What is the downtime? What is the labor cost? What is the parts cost per each machine? It can answer different questions like whether we should buy a new machinery or keep working with the same old machinery, and so on. The technical knowledge is in specific place in the system and can be used and shared globally across all the sites. Tivo Pharmaceutical is another customer. They also mention long downtime due to complex failures, and from this perspective, one of the failures that caused in the past around 3 hours of downtime With smart troubleshooting, it takes them today only half an hour to fix. But they mention another issue. They say that a lot of calls to technical support are due to trivial failures. It means that line operators many times call to maintenance or to process engineer due to failures that they can fix on their own. So the smart troubleshooting provide recommendation to the line operators as well, saying before calling to maintenance, before calling to engineer, please check 1, 2, 3, 4. And it helps to reduce the call to technical support by 40% and also eliminate unnecessary downtimes. As a result, they even reduce the manpower in the maintenance team by 25%, and the learning curve of new technician or new employees is faster. Flex is another example of a global electronics assembly contractor, which is spread in around 80 manufacturing sites around the world. So we started in Israel. Very soon we were expanded to 11 sites across Europe, because they say we have a lot of technical teams, of parallel technical teams in any factory that we have, but they don't share knowledge and best practice. It means that if someone tackle a failure or someone received any new knowledge and any new technical knowledge, it remains on a local plant scale. With the smart troubleshooting that enables collaboration across the company, now the knowledge, expert knowledge is spread across the company, and they have best practices almost to any issue. It also reduced downtime very dramatically, and it was also widely used by line operators, maintenance teams, process engineer, test engineer, and so on. This is an example of a digital procedure that also exists in the system. The pain point or the issue that told us that sometimes during setup or other operational procedure, sometimes there are human errors, or they don't know what were exactly the step that the operator did and what caused a specific problem, and so on. So the system also enables to create digital procedures, all with images, with simple instructions, with dynamic buttons on screen. Building it's totally no code. It means that anyone from the maintenance team, from the operation team can drag and drop the objects and create this type of procedure very easily. To summarize that, there are a lot of initiatives with rapid execution that can raise manufacturing quality and efficiency. It includes best practice, cross-team and cross-site collaborations. Keep and spread expert knowledge or experienced employees' knowledge that in specific time leave the company or retire. Greater technical and operational professionalism, because with the software, they train and learn as part of their daily process. Rapid employee learning curve and manpower reduction. So thank you very much. Arya Maor from Kiami.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ari Mayer. I think very lucid presentation. Yes.
So Mr. Nabat has also joined us again, and he would like to complete his talk.
Yeah. Just give me a minute. Yeah. So just was thanking Mr. Ari Mayer for his presentation. I think it was very lucid and clear, and I like your, the punch words are the low budget and fast implementation. I think this is something which most of the MSMEs would love to have. And I think you made your presentation very clear in how we can resolve the matters, with easy solutions. And I think you have some excellent software for all this. So it'll be good for the Indian companies to interact with your company and to see how they can get a solution to their problems. And the problems which you have stated are very, very common, in the sense the downtime, and loss of productivity, loss of man hours, I mean, these are the concerns and the pain points you have pointed out pretty well. Thank you so much, sir, for your presentation.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you.
And thank you. And now for the final concluding remarks of Mr. Nabat, because we lost him due to connectivity. So can you please make your final part of the presentation, Mr. Nabat? Is he there? Pallavi?
Yes, sir, he's there. Not sure if he can hear us. Mr. Nabat, we are inviting you again to finish your speech. Are you able to hear us?
I think you can call him on the phone and check, because if he's not able to hear.
Right, I think he has come on.
Ah, he's there. You can... Yes, Mr.
Yes.
Nabat, please.
Sorry for interruptions. Yeah, we have several problems here. I think I stopped where I was talking about the contribution of MSME to the trade between Tanzania and India, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I said the emerging sector. The emerging sector. I started with the cereal crops, mainly the pulses that we have pigeon peas, we have also sesame, we have other different types of legumes that are actually produced here in Tanzania, and they are exported to India. But we have emerging horticultural crops like avocados. Avocados now are being grown in large quantities here in Tanzania, and they are being exported to India. But I mentioned a few challenges that we are facing, including the low-level investments in those sectors that leads to low production, also leads to maybe not meeting the quantity that is desired, because even the technology that is used is not so advanced. So we need more investment in these sectors. But we also we have been also producing a lot of cashew nuts. So we have both unprocessed and those semi-processed, which are well traded to India. And I think you are aware of it, and even the season. Also, we have beans like soya, which are actually well traded as well. But apart from all those, the agricultural commodities which I mentioned, we also are good at resources. Tanzania is endowed with different minerals deposits, gemstones, those precious stones. I think you are well conversant with Tanzanite, which is exclusively mined in Tanzania. And yes, for a number of years now, Tanzania is doing very good in the global market for precious stones. So, but we are yet not well developed in terms of investments and in terms of technology application to these mining activities, to make sure that we maximize production and also meet the required quantity and the quality as well. But apart from those endowments, living around the touristic sector in terms of services, but we also I think import a lot of products from India. So those are the areas where we can leverage on. As you may recall from the statistics, that we're importing a lot of pharmaceutical products from India. Apart from other countries as well, India is also one of the leading suppliers of pharmaceutical products and the medical products that are coming to Tanzania. But we are also importing a lot of textile products, including the finished clothes or even the raw materials for production of other textile products here. But also we are importing a lot of those automobile products, the motor vehicles, the motorbikes. We have a three-wheel motorbike. They are famous at Bajaji, although I know the other brands as well, but Bajaj is the most famous here. And most of them are imported from India. Yes, there are countries like China, but India has been the main supplier of these automobile products. So we can see that trade is going on in most done by the sector of MSMEs, which is the micro, small, medium, and the micro, small, and the medium-sized enterprises, which comprises the majority of Tanzanian business sector. And as I said earlier, we at the Tanzania Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture, we represent a majority of these sectors, as our key sectors lies on three key main areas, which is industry, that include manufacturing, extraction, and construction as well. But also we have trade, which is the exchange of goods, import and export of various goods. But we have another sector that is agriculture. So when I talk of agriculture, it's the entire value chain from growing, from processing, and the other value addition. So we represent these three sectors, which comprises of where majority of Tanzanian MSMEs are, I think, are lying in these three sectors. So that's the briefly I can say. This is what our MSE can contribute, and the law in facilitating trade, in participating in the global trade, especially when it comes to bilateral trade between India and Tanzania. Those are the three sectors that we depend much. We have other sectors, but not well traded between our two countries. But those areas which I mentioned earlier are the ones with are highly traded, and you can see also from the statistics. I'd like to hear if there's anything to clarify or to explain more, please.
Thank you, Mr. Nabat. Thank you very much. We do understand the connectivity issues.
Yes.
I wish there was more time and we could have a lot of question answers, but unfortunately we are running out of time, and we look forward to the Indie exhibition in Tanzania in September from 20.
Yes, yeah. We are well informed about that, and we are getting prepared for it.
Yes, and I'm sure many
MSMEs
will be able to advantages between India and Tanzania. So once again, thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been a very enriching day, my friends. With 4 highly informative sessions, and especially on strengthening of OEM supply chain competitiveness. We have covered the supply chain ecosystem, and on behalf of entire EPC India and the engineering fraternity, I'd like to thank all the panelists today, starting from Mr. Florian Schneider. We had Mr. Carlos. Thank you so much, Mr. Nabat. Thank you for being with us. And
thank you.
Then, of course, we had 2 powerful presentations from Israel, Mr. Agmon, David, thank you for letting our members
Thank you.
light with the kind of technology. Finally, I'd like to congratulate EPC India team who are behind organizing this wonderful session, and hope the efforts continue in future too for the benefit of our members. I thank once again all the participants today for making the meeting so productive, and we would be hopefully sharing the presentations, the PPT presentations which have been made with the members, and I'd like the participants to feel free to send your views and questions, and since there's paucity of time here, but we'll try to get them informed to the eminent speakers and get the response from them. So with these words, I thank all of you. It's been wonderful having you here amongst us, and look forward to more such future interactions. With these words, I thank each one of you. Namaskar and good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you.